Hello, friends. Good morning. And as we actually speak and discuss about business issues in this live stream, there is one particular item which is, on everybody's mind, and it's basically running in the Supreme Court of India, and that is related to Patanjali. And if you are following this news, Supreme Court is coming down very heavily on Patanjali for not following the best practices, etc. So it is a opening, it's like mind opening incident which is happening. We may feel good or bad about what is happening with Patanjali, which I will talk little bit. However, it's a eye opener for all of us. We have to take lessons from what is going on in the Supreme Court with regards to Patanjali. So what is going on? You see, Patanjali has been saying that if you take my medicine, you will get 100% cure. And they are also saying that if you don't take my medicine, but you basically go to allopathic treatment, then you will get a lot of side effects and you will never get cured. So these are the two statements which they have been actively saying, but they did not start saying now. They have been saying even before the Patanjali was formed. Baba Ramdev has been saying these things, and if you go to some of his camps, you can hear these things openly being talked about. Well, there is nothing wrong when you speak. However, when you give it in writing, that is when the problem starts to brew. And this is exactly what has happened with Baba Ramdev. Is that in some of these medicines, he has not he actually the Patanjali enterprises or Patanjali company has given in writing that if you take this medicine from Patanjali, you will get 100% cure for that ailment, which is not legally permissible. You have to prove it, right? And to prove, so actually let's go step by step. One is that they are doing something which is not, which cannot be backed up. Saying that if you take my medicine, 100% cure will be provided. Well, I personally believe that there is huge power in Ayurveda, and it can give you long lasting relief. But then saying 100% may be overkill. You can probably say 99.9%. All right. So that is first thing. This is where the Patanjali has gone wrong. Second thing is they are actually doing negative marketing. They are actually saying that if you take the allopathic drug, then you will get a lot of side effects and you will never get cured. So now, by making this statement officially in their advertorial, they were inviting trouble. And some intelligent marketing or legal expert should have told them before coming out with these kind of ads that this kind of ad will attract some issues, some legal issues. And this is exactly what has happened. You see, what happens is then when you get into negative marketing, you sort of tickle the other guy and say the other guy will then start taking action and start weighing what are the options the other guy has, right? If you start doing negative marketing, because you're talking about negative about the other party, and obviously other party will not sit quiet. Other party will say, okay, fine. They will say that one, either you're falsifying the records and you're talking negative about me, and there could be a defamation suit that will follow. Second thing is, this is what the lobby. So, quote unquote, there is a lobby of the long-lasting industrial pharmaceutical companies, because the pharmaceutical companies are existing in India for more than 100 years. Some of them very, very old companies. They have this set established business. And when it comes to pharmaceutical companies, there are a lot of norms they have to fulfill, right from sourcing raw material to production, R&D, and then rolling out distribution, etc., etc. Everywhere there are norms. These norms are made by Indian Medical Association. So one side, the pharmaceutical companies are following the law. They are following the permissible norms which are made by Government of India. On the other side, there is a new entrant which is Patanjali. Nothing wrong with the medicine. I'm not talking about any good or bad effect of the medicine. I'm only talking about the lessons that we can learn from this incident. So on the other side, Patanjali is now taking head on by tall claims that if you take my medicine, you will get 100% cure, but if you take the other guy's medicine, you will get a lot of side effects and you will not get cured, and you will be basically lured into unnecessary expenses of healthcare services, etc. So all kind of statements they have been making. So therefore, the lobby of the pharmaceutical company complained to IMA, which is the regulatory body of the medical affairs in India. And IMA also keep track of all the doctors and nursing staff in India, and they basically lay down what doctors should be doing, what the pharmaceutical companies should be doing, what the distribution of the pharmacy should be doing, etc. So they control they are the regulator. I mean, you can't go against the regulator in any country. So IMA is forming the regulations which the allopathy guys are following. Now, IMA regulations may not be applicable to the Ayurveda because their processes are ancient. Their processes are not modern. However, the medicine works, and it's a long-term treatment, and also it's a long-lasting treatment. That is what the people say. However, the IMA norms requires modification, and the IMA norms do not cover Ayurveda, and it is very difficult to modify those norms in order to keep the Ayurveda in. All right, so there is gap there as well. However, in the current scheme of things, the lobby actually approached IMA, and then IMA has approached the courts, and courts look at the law, the permissible law of the land, and they have found that there are violations, and the violations are of very grave nature because ultimately the consumer is involved here. See, the norms or the regulations are created keeping the consumer in mind, that consumer should not suffer. So if the consumer interest is the paramount in any area, then the law will look at it from that point of view, because this is something called class action suit, or in India it is called public interest litigation. So whenever it is related to masses, public, then the court normally looks at it very differently, very seriously, and usually they will actually pass the judgment in favor of public, not in the favor of the business. So this is exactly what is going on. Now, having explained what is the situation here, the lesson, before we go on to the Patanjali, understand what is going on. The lesson for all business people is never do negative marketing. I think that is number one. Because if you start doing negative marketing, you will be dragged into unnecessary, unproductive things, which you could have used your time to do something productive, right? So doing negative marketing should not be your strategy. You can actually talk about it. You can, if asked, you can say what are the pros and cons, how you position your services, etc., etc. You can do all that. But then if you do it officially as a marketing campaign, you better be ready to face the consequences. So to all my clients, I say never do negative marketing. It is futile, especially when you're growing. It will actually put a spanner in your growth, because the other party will get offended and will take some action. What are the actions? They could take the legal route. They can actually file a defamation. They can also start doing negative marketing. Now, if everybody start doing negative marketing, then where does it lead? Customer will get further confused, right? So negative marketing should be avoided at all cost. That is number one lesson. Number two is never overcommit things. Never commit something which you know is impossible. I mean, if you look at the nature also, nature does not give you 100%, right? Nature also gives you something which is less than 100%. So 100% energy, 100% cure, all of these things are should not be said. Even the floor cleaner guys don't say that. They say that our floor cleaner will kill only 99.9% germs. They don't say 100%, although we know that probably the floor cleaner guys can kill a lot of these microbial parasites. However, they don't say that officially in their ad campaigns. So I think these are the two very clear learning for normal people. Now let's come back to Patanjali. Now in India, we know that the Ayurveda has been a proven science. It has been tested, tried, it has worked. The treatment is long term, but it is long lasting. We all know that, and it is with very little side effect. And in certain ailments, it works better than any other medicine. We know that, we have all experienced this, and there are a lot of these cheap materials are available, which does not require too much processing. And if you just take those cheap materials which exist in nature as it is, without processing, the you will have a better cure without expensive medicines or healthcare. However, you have to know what to take, right? And that is when the gurus like Ramdev comes in. Now if you look at his life story, single-handedly he has actually built this empire, primarily riding on the wave of yoga abhyas. So if you remember, when you're a kid, if you switch on to certain channel on the television, for almost 2 to 3 decades you will see Baba Ramdev performing asanas. And that time there was no Patanjali, there was no company like Patanjali, etc. So just leveraging the media and social media, Baba Ramdev built the fame of yoga abhyas single-handedly, only on his effort. So he was on the television for almost 2 decades live, almost in the morning, and thousands and thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of people actually watched his yoga program every day without fail and followed him. Now he became very famous globally, and that is when during his programs he used to tell these small items which you can source locally, small natural items, and take this, consume it every day. There was a process he was also telling, and during his yoga sessions, and then you will start seeing the result, which is a fact. We have all experienced that if you take these very cheap items and natural items, you get cured, you get benefit of that. All right. There are a lot of ailments related to mental health. So if you do yoga, half of your problems will be solved because you will get mentally more resilient. All right. So we have all seen that, and that is why our Prime Minister also talks about yoga at a global level. So yoga is being performed everywhere globally, and coupled with these medicinal herbs which can give you more benefit. So going forward, then they got an idea that why not form a company and do it professionally, and that is when they formed this company called Patanjali. And when Patanjali was formed, obviously Patanjali is a company, and when they are forming a company, there are chartered accountants, there are lawyers which are involved in forming any sort of companies. There are marketing gurus who will join Patanjali. So Patanjali immediately became very popular because they had a lot of captive customers, captive followers of the Baba Ramdev. Baba Ramdev is a mascot of Patanjali. He did not become mascot overnight. He spent 2 decades to achieve that status. So there was ready business, and there was proven track record of 2 decades. And when the products came out in the market, they were immediate hit. And the smart thing that Patanjali also did is that without establishing a new supply chain, because you ask any business person, if you can establish a factory, but then you will not make any money if you don't have a supply chain, right? So if you compare Patanjali's supply chain, they came up with a very, very novel idea that from the captive audience, from the captive customers, they can actually identify the distributors. And if you are convinced that these medicines work, and you basically take those medicines, why don't you stock them and sell it to other captives, right? So this was an idea, and therefore within their own ecosystem, Baba Ramdev or Patanjali was able to make overnight, erect a distribution network for their products. And so it works beautifully. It was working nice. And then Patanjali went on acquisition spree. They acquired a lot of FMCG companies also, and then they got into other items, FMCG items. And the FMCG already had their distribution network, so they also got benefit of that. So bulk distribution, etc. So because of this rapid, first of all, the company came into existence quite rapidly, but before that there was a lot of hard work. Once it came into existence, it grew rapidly because of the smart moves made by some smart guys in that company, and then they started becoming huge, with huge consumer base, not only in India but world over. Their distribution network is spread across the globe, and that's when they started eroding the market share of other pharmaceutical companies, because now people started taking the Ayurveda more for small ailments, and unless you have a surgical requirement, they avoided going to the doctors. So such things started happening. So they started feeling that there is a dip in the pharmaceutical companies' revenue, and on top of it, they were actually searching how to basically we compete with this guy or with this company. And then suddenly Patanjali, during the Corona time, they actually committed a blunder by making two official strategies. One, they started saying 100% cure, and second, they started doing negative marketing. And that is when the pharmaceutical companies lobby, they got on to something using which they can nail this guy, nail the company. And that is exactly what they did. They dragged Patanjali and Baba Ramdev and other promoters to the court. And in the court, they are getting rap on the knuckles. The Patanjali is getting rap on the knuckles. But I've already talked about that, what we should be doing, what we should not be doing. Let's not be very happy, whichever way you look at it. I mean, if you are a follower of Patanjali, you should not be too happy. And if you are not the follower, or if you are anti-Ayurveda, anti-Patanjali, again, you should not be happy. Because when the dust settles, there will be a very strict norms that I foresee. Court is going to come out heavily for everyone. There could be new norms, including Ayurveda. IMA will be forced to include the new production norms for Ayurveda. And once that happens, the Indian industry will boom, because Patanjali has become very big, but there could be other Ayurvedic small manufacturers who are still struggling to promote their product. When the IMA comes up with the regulation of how do you source raw material, how do you produce, how do you sell, etc., it will be much more clear, because right now that is a gap. IMA do not have the production processes which are requisite for Ayurveda. They have a production process which are required for the allopathic drug, but the allopathic drug requires a lot of processing, a lot of R&D, a lot of testing, whereas in Ayurveda, most of the medicines are natural, does not require a lot of processing, maybe packaging but not processing. All right, so once the IMA comes up with these regulations to encompass the medicine market of the Ayurveda, it will open up the Indian pharmaceutical space, considering Ayurveda is a big thing in India. All right, so that is one thing. Second is that the courts will give an order definitely to make much stricter laws around pharmaceuticals, which will affect Patanjali, of course, and it will also affect the other pharmaceutical companies. So even though the pharmaceutical lobby has dragged Patanjali to the court, or they have complained to IMA has dragged them to court, and they have obviously done something wrong with the prevailing laws. For that they will get penalized. I'll come to that little bit. However, once the dust settles, everybody will be affected, good or bad. It is not going to be a one-way stream. It will be an even play for everybody, because court will then finally settle the matter for at least maybe 100 years. All right, they will ask for new regulations to encompass Ayurveda in the IMA pedigree. Now, coming back to Patanjali, what will happen to Patanjali? I feel that Patanjali will also suffer. Now, Patanjali has become quite big. They are not the biggest, but they have become quite big globally. The company has a global impact. The company will not suffer as because nobody wants to lose revenue, and certainly the government and the courts also don't want the company to go down, because obviously it is a good money which is coming in for India. India is generating a lot of revenue, so none of these things will happen. However, now India is a new democracy. Now, little bit more than 70 years of independence. However, if you look at US, they have been a democratic country for 400 years, and they had a similar class, similar anti-monopoly suits filed way back in 1800, in the 19th century, against the Rockefeller, because Rockefeller monopolized the petroleum, monopolized the railways, and also shipping. So there was a antitrust suit on Rockefeller, and the courts in the United States ruled way back in 19th century, middle of 1800s, that your company should be broken apart because we don't like monopoly. And something similar to that might happen. I do not know, because we do not see antitrust situation in India so far, and we are evolving democracy. In the US, we have seen such monopolization way back, but now we are seeing it now. So there will be similar actions may be taken. I'm not sure what actions, but similar action. I'm confident that this antitrust type reaction a court will make, simply because nobody likes monopoly. This has happened with Microsoft. Microsoft was broken into two companies because of monopolization of the Microsoft decision to acquire internet business. Finally, court decided to keep them separate, and the CEO lost his job. He remained Bill Gates remained the chief promoter of the company, but he lost his official position of CEO. All right, so that was the action taken in the recent past. So similar action may be taken on Patanjali. We do not know, because it's very difficult to comment on the legal matter, because none of us are legal. However, we can take a lot of business lessons from whatever is going on. So friends, do let me know what you think about this. If you have an opinion, please send in your opinion, your comments. If you have a question, don't hesitate to send it across, and I will take up your question surely in the next live stream. So for now, like to say goodbye, only to catch you again in the next one, my friends.